Tonight, presidential prognosis. President Trump in treatment for the coronavirus at Walter Reed Medical Center. The latest on his condition and a look at who may else have been exposed. It's the first weekend since the Alabama ABC board lifted the curfew on alcohol sales. What a popular entertainment district looks like tonight. And it's game day. Stadium has made sure spectators were safe, fans adapting to changes and glad to cheer on their respective teams.
Now on WVTM 13 News at 10.
Good evening. We've been watching for the latest on the president's health all day. It's been less than 48 hours since President Trump announced he and the First Lady tested positive for COVID-19. Matt Pritchard is in Washington with more on how he's handling the virus.
Jeff, President Trump spoke from Walter Reed Medical Center on Saturday evening, posting a video as his personal physician says while the president isn't out of the woods, they're cautiously optimistic.
I came here, wasn't feeling so well. I feel much better now.
An update from President Trump himself.
We're going to beat this coronavirus, or whatever you want to call it, and we're going to beat it soundly.
The commander-in-chief posting a video on Twitter saying he thinks he'll be back soon.
I'm starting to feel good. You don't know over the next period of a few days. I guess that's the real test.
A White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows struck a more serious tone, telling reporters the next 48 hours will be critical. That's in contrast to what we heard from the president's physician on Saturday.
This morning, the president is doing very well.
Dr. Sean Conley painted a more optimistic picture, but refused to answer some questions, like whether the president had been given oxygen this week.
Has he ever been on supplemental oxygen?
Right now, he is not on oxygen.
I know you keep saying
That's
right now, but should we read into the fact that he had been previously?
Yesterday and today, he was not on oxygen.
He also didn't detail how high the president's fever had been or what lung scans had shown. And while those details remain hazy, one situation is coming into focus. Key members of the president's orbit have started testing positive for COVID-19. In fact, Chris Christie checked himself into the hospital while Senators Thom Tillis, Mike Lee, and former advisor Kellyanne Conway head into quarantine. All of them attended a nomination ceremony for Amy Coney Barrett at the White House last week. Now, President Trump received a second dose of remdesivir without complication, with more doses expected to come on Sunday. In Washington, I'm Matt Pritchard reporting.
Matt, thank you. The president's doctors are saying it was a health decision to move President Trump to the hospital to have him close to resources and experts. President Trump, in his video, said he couldn't stay in the White House. He had to confront this problem. He also gave an update on First Lady Melania Trump, saying she is handling COVID-19 well. Contact tracing efforts are now underway. As we've mentioned, President Trump announced his Supreme Court nominee 1 week ago today, with many people close together in the Rose Garden. Several people from that event have tested positive. The president and First Lady, Republican Senators Mike Lee, Thom Tillis, and Ron Johnson, and the president of Notre Dame University. The president also shared space with Vice President Mike Pence, who then campaigned in Pennsylvania. The vice president and second lady have since tested negative for the virus. Mr. Trump also met with Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, who went to Capitol Hill to talk with Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, who then, along with Pence, met with Supreme Court nominee Amy Coney Barrett. Trump talked with Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, who then went to see Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi. To prepare for the debate, Mr. Trump sat down with advisors including Hope Hicks, Kellyanne Conway, Rudy Giuliani, and Chris Christie. Quite a trail there. As for the debate itself, Mr. Trump didn't get close to moderator Chris Wallace or Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden. Members of the president's team posed with masks backstage, but took them off sometime during the debate. Friday, Mr. Biden said he and his wife Jill tested negative for the coronavirus. And on it went, Mr. Trump and his entourage cramming into Marine One, sharing photo ops with political friends, talking with reporters, holding a large outdoor rally, then attending that fundraiser. The president's children have been tested. As of tonight, all test results have come back negative. Today on social media, they shared well wishes for their father, even calling him a warrior. Attorney General William Barr is choosing not to quarantine after recently coming into close contact with members of the president's inner circle who are COVID-19 positive. This video shows Mr. Barr out and about today after leaving the Eisenhower Executive Office building in Washington. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell wants to push back the chamber's floor activity for 2 weeks, but he says he needs the Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer to agree, and that could be a sticking point. Senator McConnell wants to move to pro forma sessions for 2 weeks. That means brief meetings, and resume floor activity on October 19th, except to work on the confirmation of Judge Amy Coney Barrett to the United States Supreme Court. Minority Leader Schumer says if it's too dangerous for the Senate to meet, it's too dangerous for the Judiciary Committee to meet. As of tonight, confirmation hearings for Judge Barrett are set to go on as scheduled. Judiciary Chairman Lindsey Graham says the hearings will be held on October 12th with a vote later in the month. 2 Republicans on the committee have tested positive for COVID-19. Graham says the hearings can move forward without Senators Tom Tillis and Mike Lee, or they can participate virtually. But they need to be back before the committee begins debate. And right now that is scheduled for October 15th.